Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Histrology Show. I am your host and novice historian, Gwen.
And I'm Lindsay Roth. I'm a licensed therapist and unlicensed astrologer.
Quick note before we get started. This is meant to be a very casual conversation about these two subjects, history and astrology. So if you're someone who takes either of them very seriously, this might not be the show for you.
Thanks, Gwen. There are indeed limits to the observable universe, and nothing's real.
That's right.
Yeah.
With that, let's get started. Today, we are talking about one of the world's greatest athletes, our first athlete. He was the face of an entire culture, lifestyle, and Hawaii's cultural ambassador on the world stage for many, many years. We are, of course, talking about none other than Duke Kahanamoku. Yay! So, do we know what time Duke was born?
We do not know what time Duke was born.
Okay. Well, Duke Kahanamoku was better known as the Duke, and he was born on August 24th, 1890 in Honolulu on Oahu in the Kingdom of Hawaii. But we don't know what time, so that makes his big two.
Well, using chart rectification, which I'll get into, we've figured out what most likely is his birth time.
Okay.
At 6 a.m. So it would make his big three a sun in Virgo, a Virgo rising, and a moon in Sagittarius.
Oh, interesting.
Virgo.
I'm intrigued by that. He doesn't fit the archetype that we see online, the pop culture archetype.
Not the neurotic Virgo,
Yeah.
or perhaps he's better at hiding it. We'll get into it. But
Okay.
Virgos are of service.
Of service, that's
Yeah.
true. They're thinking about the other a lot.
Yeah. And hard on themselves, which I think we'll get into as well.
Okay, fair enough. Interesting. So, it is important to give some historical context about Hawaii at this time. The Duke was born in 1890, and at that time, Hawaii was still technically a monarchy and its own place and kingdom, but it was being heavily threatened by sugar barons, wealthy white businessmen who came to Hawaii to profit off of the natural resources. Sound familiar? In the late 1800s, the sugar barons were colluding with the U.S. government because they wanted to be able to send sugar to the United States duty-free. And the U.S. was like, sure, but that means you can only trade with us, which made Hawaii very financially dependent on America, or the United States, I should say. So, before any white intervention, it needs to be noted that Hawaii was a completely self-sustaining kingdom. They were able to feed, house, clothe, educate a population of hundreds of thousands of people, up to maybe 1 million. The number isn't quite known, but hundreds of thousands of people are being sustained just on the islands alone. No outside intervention needed for a thriving society to exist. And by 1890, the year that the Duke is born, Hawaii is shipping 99% of its exports to the U.S. mainland and receiving 76% of its imports from the United States. So all of a sudden, it's a part of this global trade economy, and lots of things are leaving the island and lots of things are coming into the island. This is a lot different than the history of Hawaii. And in 1891, the year after Duke was born, Queen Liliuokalani, who was the last monarch of Hawaii, takes the throne. But the coup that happened because of the wealthy white businessman happens in 1893. And so Hawaii isn't annexed by the United States until later, 1898, I want to say. Yeah, 1898. But pretty much by 1893, when the coup happens, is when effectively white men are running Hawaii.
Which they had been.
They had been, but it wasn't like they overthrew the government.
They overthrew the government. It was like a pretty long scheme.
Yes.
These were the kind of immigrants that integrate themselves with the local culture. They really kind of started shaping Hawaii decades before.
Yes.
And it is interesting to see that in Duke's chart, there is just such a core wound around home. And especially the year of the overthrow, it was like crossing his ascendant. So really a defining part of his chart. And then his life, as we'll see.
It would have to be. So yeah, this
Yeah.
was a long, drawn out process. I assume that we will do an episode on Queen Liliuokalani where I think we can dive into this subject a little bit more. But that doesn't change the fact that there were still drastic changes happening very early in his life
Yes.
in terms of the culture of Hawaii, how they operated.
Yes. I mean, imagine like another country coming in and like telling you of new laws, making your language illegal, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Like
Yep.
all sorts of things that are just so disruptive.
Yeah. Yeah,
And yeah,
to
like
like
people who had power, which Duke's family seemed like they did, suddenly being beholden to these strangers.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So Duke's family was kind of noble.
Mm-hmm.
People say that he was related to Kamehameha, but it was most likely like Hanai family, so family that isn't blood but is still considered family, like very tight knit,
Mm-hmm.
connected to the family, and they were advisors to the
Mm-hmm.
elite. So they were around royalty a lot, maybe considered royalty in their own respect, but they weren't wealthy by any
Okay.
means, right? They had a very big family. Duke was one of 9 children, and he had over 30 cousins. So and they were a very tight-knit
Mm-hmm.
family. They were living in Waikiki. At the age of 4, he gets tossed over a canoe to learn how to swim
Oh, I didn't know. Interesting.
the old way. He
Yeah.
learned the old way. And at the age of 14 or 15, he drops out of school. And that's because it was a white instated grammar school, which had,
Right. The
like
state controls that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Where Hawaiian language was banned, where many cultural practices were being suppressed.
Through
And
violence.
all of a sudden, they're having to learn these trade jobs and weird things that didn't exist before.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very different from the way of life that had previously
Mm-hmm.
existed. And I think the Duke was like, that's not for me. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to drop out.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't blame him one bit.
Mm-mm.
So
Still
he
happens today. Yeah.
still happens today. Yeah, very common. And the fact of the matter is that he was a waterman,
He
right?
was.
So a waterman is somebody who can do almost anything in the water. So he swims really well, he surfs, he fishes. If you can fish, you don't have to go to school.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you can feed yourself by fishing, you don't have to work,
And you live
really.
on an island? Then go figure. Yeah.
Yeah, and that again still happens today. Plenty of
Yeah.
people do that and that's fine. So that's pretty much yeah what he did. He becomes a waterman and is sustaining his family that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after the annexation of Hawaii, lots of tourists started coming to Hawaii, and so he would take tourists out on canoe rides and on surf rides, and his job was beach,
His job was beach.
literally.
It literally was. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just a beach guy. He was just at the beach doing beach things, sharing it with other people,
Mm-hmm.
and then sustaining his family with fishing and things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So he would do odd jobs too, but I have no clue what the odd jobs were.
Mm-hmm.
He was his job was
His
beach.
job was beach.
It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
With like, or just to add to that, I mean, not just beach, he has Neptune just at the top pinnacle of his charts.
oh, okay.
But in the second house, which is like usually where we find where people's resources for stability are or security, he's got his Venus in Libra. He's a charmer.
Charmer.
Yeah.
I mean, look at
He's adorable.
Yeah, look at any photo of him.
Tall, statuesque man.
Yes.
And like by all accounts, just super humble and sweet and delightful.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so. I think he charmed a lot of people,
Yeah.
probably. So he did start to face some racism in his own hometown. There was an outrigger canoe club that started in Waikiki, started by a white man to help preserve culture, but only whites were allowed. Make it make sense.
Still happens today. Yeah. It's amazing.
We're gonna preserve the culture, but the people who created it aren't allowed.
Yeah. It's like Hawaiian culture, like TM.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
Yes, that's beautiful. In response to this, Duke and a couple of his friends started their own canoe club where everyone was allowed, all
Mhm.
ages, all races, all walks of life. It was extremely popular.
Mhm.
So that goes to show kind of his attitude and the way that he was responding to some of these things. It
Mhm.
wasn't a protest fight, it was a okay, we'll just start our own canoe club then, and literally everyone will be allowed to join.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Leading by example, I guess,
Mhm. Mhm.
taking things into his own hands,
Mhm.
seeing where things are unjust and correcting them in the
Mhm.
best way he knew how. It's this canoe club that he started that will allow him to take part in a race that changes his life forever. So on August 11th, 1911, the Amateur Athletic Union is in Honolulu, and Duke competes in a 100-yard or 91-meter freestyle race in the Honolulu harbor, and he blows everyone out of the water, so to speak. He's timed finishing the race at 55.4 seconds, which was 4.6 seconds faster than the world record.
Which is crazy in swimming. I
That's
mean,
a
like, running. Yeah.
huge
That's an
margin.
eternity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's always said that he, like, never even swam as hard as he could.
Yeah.
He would kind of be swimming and he'd look back and he'd say, "Oh, I got this. I'm way ahead of everybody," and would just only swim as hard as he needed to come in first.
Mhm.
Again,
So humble.
so humble.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not gonna do it as hard as I need to. I'm already
Yeah.
winning. That's fine. So yeah, people cannot believe this because
Yeah.
this is such a huge margin. The experts are like, absolutely no way. You guys recorded this wrong. It's not possible. And the whole community supported him, saw that it was true, and so they crowdfunded to send him to Pittsburgh to try out for the Olympic team.
Cool.
Yeah, the whole community came together and in all really small donations raised enough money so that he could go to Pittsburgh and compete.
Interesting. And he's 21 at this time.
Yeah.
And that's where, we talk about like the Saturn return at 27, which is like kind of when you're like fortified into your adult self. But here there's like, a trine of your natal Saturn. So all these kind of transits that like are setting the tone for what's going to happen.
Ooh,
You
around
know,
21?
yeah, around
Mm,
21.
okay.
Yeah, and he had a lot of like very potent transits happening at this time, just kind of like giving him a glimpse of like what's themes of his life, which
Yeah.
are very much this like spectacle in
Yes.
many ways,
Yes.
hero,
Mhm.
ambassador, of course.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
He really shocks people. He's something that people have never ever seen before. And
Yeah.
I think that he was such a interesting example to be shown to everyone because I mean his body is very interesting. He has a swimmer's body just naturally. He has
Hmm.
huge feet,
Hmm.
right? For
Yeah.
example.
6'1".
He's 6'1", he's
Yeah.
very tall, he's built, and so people were like, "Whoa, what is that guy? What is going
Yeah.
on there?" And they of course, didn't know anything about Hawaii. People didn't know anything about Hawaii. They still don't know anything about Hawaii, which is why we're doing this episode.
Yes. Yes.
So, he goes to Pittsburgh to try out for the Olympic team, but this is a very different environment, obviously. It's an
Pittsburgh.
indoor well, first of all, it's Pittsburgh, and it's freezing.
Yeah.
And it's an indoor swimming pool. So, the Duke had never swim in an indoor swimming pool, and it's cold, it's fresh water, and in an indoor swimming race, you have to, like, turn around. You have to, like, hit a wall and turn around and flip
Oh.
off, and this is something that he would have never done.
Lost a lot of time on those flip turns.
He
Yeah.
didn't even finish the race.
Okay.
He
Interesting.
Yeah, because his body cramped up. He wasn't used to the conditions at
Mhm.
all, and so he wasn't able to finish the race. The media had a field day with this because they were like, "Ha ha ha, see? We knew it was too good to be true. It couldn't be right."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so that
Yeah.
must have been really hard for him because we know he's a great swimmer,
Yeah.
and he's swimming in a natural environment, straight, not in concrete walls, which must have been very disorienting. And
Mhm.
yeah, just everything about it was totally different. So luckily, there was a swim coach there who saw his potential
Mhm.
and kind of took him under his wing and said, "Hey, I have some tips for you. We can
Mhm.
make this work." And so he trained with that coach and was able to qualify for the
Cool.
Olympic team.
Obviously. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
obviously, right? Spoiler alert. He wins. He's great at the Olympics,
Mhm.
right? So he goes to the Olympics in 1912 in Stockholm, Sweden. And for a minute there, the Duke might not be able to compete in the 100-meter because there was some sort of scheduling conflict and he missed the semifinals.
Ah.
Seems weird. Not to like breed conspiracy, but why is he the only one who had a
Were there any other
scheduling
brown
conflict. I
swimmers?
don't think so.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Yeah.
So we'll just leave that
Yeah.
there. But luckily, there was this guy, Cecil Healy, who was an Australian swimmer. And he was like, I'm not competing unless the Duke does.
Cool.
Yeah. So because of that protest, the Duke was able to compete. And the
Mhm.
Duke came in first. He won the gold medal. And Cecil came in second. He got the
Cute.
silver medal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was kind of like probably favored to win. And he was like, I'm not doing this unless my true competition can
Yeah.
also compete. Otherwise, what does my win mean?
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
Really good sportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah.
After this successful trip, the Duke becomes somewhat of a celebrity. He has taken the world by storm with his swimming, and he's asked to give a lot of swimming demonstrations around the world. He accepts those, he does it. And the reason the Duke was so successful was because of his swimming style, which was very natural to him. He had obviously never had a swimming coach. He never even learned how to swim. They just tossed him into the water and he figured it out. But he had a different style of kicking his feet, which allowed him to be really successful and became known as the Kahanamoku kick. And
Oh.
so what it was that it was a big flutter of his feet.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, swimmers were doing the scissor kick. So they were using
Okay.
their legs like this, but he was more doing what we see today.
Okay.
It revolutionized the sport
Yeah.
of swimming, and it's more his feet doing more like this, more of a flutter
Mhm.
than a big scissor.
Mhm.
So the reason the Duke had come about this way of swimming so naturally was because of surfing.
Mhm.
He notoriously rode huge surfboards,
Mhm.
like up to 16 feet of
Mhm.
solid wood. So
No fins. Yeah.
no fins, over 100 pounds of needing to paddle out into the ocean. So that's where the kick came from. The Duke competes in the 1920 Olympics in Belgium and wins the gold for the 100-meter freestyle again, and also the 4x200-meter freestyle relay. And after this, the Duke, a part of his story is that he really struggles to make money most
Mhm.
of his life because, first of all, things like wage labor were not a thing in Hawaii before white people intervened. Okay, so this is a huge cultural shift that's
Mhm.
happening. It's not something Hawaiian people are used to. So, trying
Private property also,
private
like,
property.
everything was more shared.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so these new constraints, I think, were really hard to adapt to. And
Mhm.
it's particularly hard for an athlete where he could have become a professional swimmer, but you can't become a professional swimmer if you're competing in the Olympics because that takes away your
Right.
amateur status. And he
Mm.
really cared about the Olympics and
Mhm.
wanted to compete in the Olympics. So he couldn't become a professional swimmer. He was a beach. He was a beach boy.
Mhm.
He would take people out and teach them things, but he's not making a lot of money, right?
Mhm.
So he decides to try his hand at Hollywood. He
Mm.
thinks maybe I can use my newfound celebrity to make some money in Hollywood.
Mhm.
But as you can imagine, Hollywood in the 1920s was not really ready for a non white protagonist. I mean, it's 2025 and we're still working on that in
Yeah.
terms of representation on screen. So he is never able to become a leading man.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just racism.
Yeah. And, like, kind of this signature he has of choosing, like, ideology over strategy.
Yeah.
He's a dreamer.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I think that leads him to be kind of taken advantage of.
Yes.
Um, but like that's also why he's awesome because I was like, what would Duke look like with an agent? Like, or
Yeah.
like today, there wouldn't be someone like him. He'd be like picked up by some mainland agent and
Yeah.
like pimped out on social media.
Totally.
And so yeah, that's like also I think one of the reasons why we all still love him so much because he was authentic.
Yeah, he held true to like the young idealism that we
Mhm.
are all raised with.
Mm.
Like the
Mhm.
Olympics would be like the pinnacle of athleticism, but
Mhm.
but you can make a lot of money being a professional athlete. So he stuck to just like what we think about when you're young and you learn about
Yeah.
the world and
Yeah.
what's truly important.
Mhm.
So he always held on to that. And
Mhm.
I agree. I think that's why we really like him.
Mhm.
But it made his life hard for him,
Yes.
in terms of money.
Yes.
So the Duke competes in the Olympics one more time in Paris in 1924, but he ends up getting the silver medal this
Mhm.
time in the 100-meter freestyle, losing to Johnny Weissmuller. And the media really tried to paint this as a big rivalry between the two, but he was an American swimmer too. They were on the same team,
Mhm.
and by all accounts, they really got along.
Mhm.
I think they hyped it up in particular too because Johnny was also in Hollywood.
Okay.
So, and he was successful because he was white. So he was Tarzan. He was like the first Tarzan, which is
Okay.
whatever.
This is back when swimmers were cool
I
too.
guess so. Yeah, I guess they're
Yeah.
major
They
celebrities.
were, yeah, it was like
Yeah.
a cooler sport, I think, than it is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Michael Phelps,
Yeah.
had a moment.
He had a moment. Yeah.
Whatever. The point is that these two are seemingly competing in many areas of life,
Mhm.
and Johnny is coming out on top for various reasons.
Mhm.
Some that are within Duke's control and some that are not. And by all accounts, the Duke was, of course, very humble about his second place win. He was really happy for Johnny.
Yeah.
He
It's
wasn't it wasn't this conflict.
yeah.
He wanted what was best for people.
He also was like he was 34, which is old for the Olympics. So
That's
I think he was
true.
like 10 years his senior anyway.
He had already won
Yeah.
gold twice, and the Olympics, yeah, are 4 years out every time,
Mhm.
so I think that he was just happy for him. I think he was happy for
Yeah.
it was his teammate. He was like, "Good for you, guy. Great
So
job."
one of many instances where Duke's image is like manipulated, right? He has this
Right.
authenticity, but especially, I mean, his generation is like, right, this is the explosion of media and television and essentially storytelling. And he is like objectified and flattened and manipulated as an image. He's probably one of the first we see that happening with,
Yeah,
especially
totally.
being an insider and an outsider, and this like freak of nature in the best and worst ways, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you have to think people really were not familiar with a Hawaiian man at all. This was the
Mhm.
representation of a Hawaiian man that
Yeah.
they had, and I think we'll talk about it a little bit, but that was probably used to other people's advantage.
Yes, exactly. It was like honored where it was strategic to
Yeah,
make money and
yeah,
then like, but bastardized. He does
yeah.
have this signature. Rihanna has it too. It's a Jupiter
Uh,
and Aquarius in the fifth house. And it's like a unicorn at a pony show. Like
oh,
it's like
yeah.
special.
Everyone's like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, look at that.
Yeah,
We're gonna
exactly. I
we're
think
gonna
Lady
use that."
Gaga has it too. It's a very
Mhm.
extravagant kind of placement, but it's interesting how it manifests with different people.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, this takes me to some of Duke's other iconic moments that don't have anything to do with the Olympics. So his
Mhm.
Olympic career is over, so let's
Mhm.
talk about some of the other things in his life that he's really well known for. First off, we got to talk about June 14th, 1925. So the Duke and some friends are camping in California when they see a boat capsize in the water. The water was really rough. The boat went out anyway. It capsized, and Duke paddles out to save people.
Mhm.
He ends up saving eight lives that
Mhm.
day himself on his surfboard, and this leads to the standard for lifeguards having boards.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, "Wow, you were
Brilliant.
able to save a lot of people with that thing. We're
Yeah.
gonna adopt that," which is a huge impact,
Yeah.
obviously. Can't
Yeah.
be understated. He's very humble, as always, about saving these people's lives. People are
Mhm.
like, "How did you do this? You're amazing." And he was like, it's just what you do, and it's done, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
So it was a very much, well, that's just what you do type of attitude. It's not really about me. That's just what you do in that situation. And it worked out. Some people did die that day, I want to say, too,
Yeah.
by the way. It wasn't like a perfectly successful mission.
Mhm.
That probably weighed heavily on him, but he did save 8 people. It's,
Yeah. And another potent Saturn transit for him at that time too.
oh,
Yeah,
really?
just again this like karmic path that he's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like, I mean, when you think about that experience, like he's a hero, but because my understanding, yeah, he brought in a lot of bodies too, right? And for
Yeah.
someone who's a Virgo, it's never enough.
It's never,
Yeah.
that's a good point.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't, yeah, it was never enough. But I mean, he probably saved many, many, many more lives because of his impact
Yes.
on lifeguards now using boards to help save people.
Yes.
That's a huge legacy and huge impact to leave behind. And many,
Yeah.
many lives were saved, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So his impact does not stop there. The
Mhm.
Duke also traveled around the world sharing his love for the Hawaiian lifestyle that is surfing.
Mhm.
So this is a huge part of his life. He would demonstrate surfing to people off the coast of California and the United States, but also very popularly Australia.
Mhm.
And so surfing is huge today, of course, as we know, but that is because of the groundwork that the
Mhm.
Duke laid for everybody to
Mhm.
start picking it up and doing it in other places in the world. This is a uniquely Hawaiian sport
Mhm.
that spread across the globe.
Mhm.
In 1934, the Duke becomes the sheriff of Honolulu, and he holds this position until it's abolished in 1960, which
Mhm.
I love because people are always, oh, I guess people say the mayor, right? Oh, he's the mayor
Yeah.
when you're really well known, but he was the sheriff.
Yes.
But he was actually the sheriff.
And it is an elect. I think he was appointed, but then it's an elected position.
Yeah, he held
Yeah.
it. Like
Yeah.
people actively, I think it was like 16 elections. He
Yeah.
won the sheriff
Yeah.
position of Honolulu. In 1940, he marries Nadine Alexander, a white woman from Ohio who had relocated to Hawaii to accept a job as a dancing instructor. And she had like swooned over him as a young woman on the mainland via photos and the films that he was in, and she ended up marrying him, which I think is really cute.
Was he 66 then?
Oh no, I think it was 50
50.
when they
She
got
was
married, but and she was 35.
okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. We'll allow it.
Okay.
Yeah, no big deal. Uh, there are a couple more things that I'm sure we'll talk about with the Duke's life,
Mhm.
but mostly I just want to emphasize that he was like the epitome of cool
So cool.
without even trying. He
Yeah.
is just cool as a cucumber. Like he is so unbothered.
Yes.
And who knows if he actually is unbothered, but like that's how he moves through the world. He moves through the world unbothered. He famously is never worked up about anything or angry about anything. He's never bothered. So one of my favorite things about the Duke is that he was famously just like taking naps all of the time,
Mhm.
even like in the Olympics. So he almost missed a race one time because he was taking a nap under the
Mm.
bleachers. And a teammate had to go find him and bring him back, and then he ended up winning the race.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is when other people are dealing with a lot of nervous energy, right? They're about to
Yeah.
compete on the world stage. They are freaking out. They're pacing, they're jumping around. He's literally taking a nap. That's how relaxed this man is. Just another day.
Which is like in my limited travels, like such a part of the culture of a global south. You're in a hot environment, you're gonna nap.
You're napping.
Northerners don't. Europeans don't nap enough. I-
Yes.
Yeah,
Take
if
more
I'm-
naps.
Take more naps, everyone. You need sleep.
Yes.
So
And you just also like this is one of my favorite things about life in general. Like I love when people nap around me. It means that they feel safe
so
around
true.
me.
Yeah.
Like a friend napping on my couch is the greatest joy of my life. I'm like, "Oh, I'm so honored. You trust me this much. You feel this comfortable here to
Mhm.
like let all of your defenses down and to just sleep in front of me." Truly, it's like the greatest honor of my life. And so you have to imagine just how relaxed and cool and comfortable the Duke is to be able to just nap in even in these high stress
Yeah,
situations.
that's that Sagittarius moon. Sagittarius I are citizens of the world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that.
And again, I'm sure people were like ogling at it. Like he must have gotten so much attention all
So
the
much
time. And he's
attention.
just snoozing.
The attitude is very much like it's just another day.
Or he's in a functional disassociated state
I
due to
do
the
think
trauma.
that. I do think that.
Yes, and
I choose to
yeah.
believe the
Yeah.
former.
Yeah.
He's also given the title Ambassador of Aloha. Quick side note, Aloha does not just mean hello and goodbye. It's more correctly translated to love, right?
Mhm.
It's a sense of of communion with people in the world and sharing the world with one another. It's very
Mhm.
much a vibe. It's
Mhm.
not really a greeting.
Mhm.
And so ambassador of Aloha is a big title with a big responsibility.
Yeah.
And I think that it's also just like an interesting concept, but he was that when we think about him on the world stage and like introducing to Hawaii to people and
Mhm.
his overall demeanor and attitude and grace
Mhm.
is a really great example of Aloha, and to be a representative of that on the world
Mhm.
stage is pretty cool. I think he
Yeah.
was the right man for the job.
He was the perfect man for the job.
Yeah, and he did all of
Yeah.
this despite difficulties that he had faced because of the world changing so rapidly around him,
Yeah.
despite Hawaii being taken over by America and his culture being systemically oppressed, despite racism that he experienced in Hollywood and racism coming to his hometown. Despite all of this, he is still Aloha.
Yeah. Which is aloha. And I
Yeah.
think he really represents another Hawaiian concept called kuleana,
Yeah.
which is like your privilege and your
Yeah.
responsibility,
Yeah.
So he also, yeah, he just, um, I mean, I don't want to jump on
Go for it.
but like,
Jump on
we
me,
were like,
baby.
who is Duke? I actually also wonder if that's like a cultural conflict, right? We're from such an individualistic mindset,
Yeah.
but he really was like such a servant
Yeah.
for his culture, for his community, for his family. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge point that you bring up. Like community-based cultures versus
Mhm.
individual-based
Mhm.
cultures. That's a major divide and a really interesting way of viewing the world and navigating the world.
Mhm.
And in the West, we're very individually oriented.
Yes, and we were both talking about like there's some footage of him you can find on YouTube, and you can see how like the spectacle that is made of him,
Yeah.
and like you can see how he's handling it, but it's like not natural to
Yeah.
him. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
so what you're
Mhm.
referencing is an old TV show called This Is Your Life. You can find this entire episode online on YouTube, but watching the Duke one was really hard for me. I actually had to turn it off. I couldn't
Yeah.
keep watching
So
it
cringe.
because felt very cringy. It felt like this man doesn't want to be here. It's making him uncomfortable. Like
Yeah.
we've learned so much about consent over the years that it's like he didn't consent to this. You tricked him into it, and he's visibly uncomfortable in my opinion. The host doesn't stop talking.
Steamrolls.
He does not get a word in edgewise. He just has to
Yeah.
stand there and take it. The one saving grace was that I watched up to the point where his family comes out on stage and you could see him light up. He
Yeah.
really loves his family, obviously, very close to them and
Yeah.
happy that they were there, happy to see them.
Yes.
But other than that, after that, I turned it off. Couldn't handle it
Yes.
anymore.
And so this is a big part of his like karmic path, but also like again those outer we look at these outer planets, right? The sign of the times.
Mm.
He's the Pluto and Gemini generation. And this is like what we call like the greatest generation. They're like defined by World War I. And then again, like Gemini, the communicator, defined by communication and media, telephone, radio, phonograph, mass media was all created at this time.
Yeah.
And he's the first victim
Yeah.
of many. And so yeah, I think this is like the creation of celebrity culture,
Yeah.
of which he is kind of forced into. And again, this celebrity culture that is so counter to a community-based culture,
Yeah.
right? Where, because Hawaii, I mean, people might be watching what's the show on right now by Jason Momoa?
Oh,
Um,
Chief of War.
Chief of War, right?
Yeah.
There's leaders in Hawaii, but like the way that's so different than the way we've done celebrities
Yeah.
in the United States, right? They're dehumanized, objectified, and as much as they're leaders, they end up becoming like slaves to the masses, right? Like
Yeah.
consent is always a huge problem.
Yeah.
Um,
And they're using him to spread their messages. So
yes.
he originally thought that he was going to shoot a like tourism video,
Mhm.
like a Hawaii tourism video, which in itself is problematic,
Yeah.
already. So yeah, they're using him as a prop pretty much to say, see, things in
Look
Hawaii
at
are
us.
great.
Yeah.
Things in Hawaii are fine. And guess what? Now it's a part of America, so you can go there. You don't even need a passport. Isn't it wonderful? Aren't these people wonderful? And like, yeah, using him as a prop for their own ends.
Yes.
Like, not his own agenda at all.
Yes, I think one of the things that I also noticed in my research and is there was like an Emmett Till kind of situation that happened.
Mm.
I think before he was sheriff. Are you gonna? I don't want
No,
to. Okay.
I wasn't gonna dive into that, but
Okay.
yeah, please.
Just briefly, like something we've seen a lot in the Jim Crow South, where there was a kind of honor killing of a man of color falsely accused of sexually assaulting a woman. This is a woman who was having an affair and didn't want to tell her husband,
Yeah.
blamed it on some Hawaiians. One of them died, so it's like, again, and that kind of public lynching, if you will, really served to be like, look, we're safe from the Aboriginals, which is still very much a narrative at that time. I always say that men who are convicted for sexual assault, it's usually a sign that they are doing something that's dangerous to the state or the power structure, right? It's never what we actually care about what they did. It's when they can be utilized as an object.
Yeah.
But again, these like Plutonian, Neptunian themes that are of that time, this kind of conjunction that was happening in Gemini happens every 500 years.
500.
Yeah. So it was like a very unique thing happening in the 1890s, and then it will happen in 2385.
That's weird to say.
So I know. So mark your calendars.
That's like really makes you feel, like realize that time is made up. A
So
number
true.
like that, like year 2385. I'm like,
that's true. I would much prefer the next Neptune-Pluto conjunction in Gemini.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
so
yeah.
the Duke dies of a heart attack
Mhm.
in 1968, January 22nd. And the gathering at Waikiki for his paddle out is huge.
Huge.
Thousands of people are there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, a Hawaiian funeral. There's nothing like it. It's
Yeah.
really one of the most profound things to be able to witness, for sure. There are 3 statues that are erected for him around the world. One in Waikiki, of course. One at New Brighton Beach in Aotearoa, New Zealand. And one in Freshwater, New South Wales, Australia, where they also host Duke Day every year to celebrate his first time there.
Oh, cute. And
in 2020... Oh, I forgot to talk about one of his more iconic moments. I guess we don't have to.
What is it?
It's I don't know where it is in my notes. Sorry, I kinda missed it. But it's his longest ride.
Oh, yeah.
The Duke's longest ride. So it was after he moved back to Waikiki after his big celebrity moment, but he just rode a wave in Waikiki for over a mile, which went down in history as like probably the longest ride in modern times.
Yeah, 1929.
1929.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Another fun, just when astrology's literal, fun Neptune transit. Again, professional beach. Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's like the iconic Waikiki beach. That's where he ended up. But he must have paddled out so far. That must have been a huge wave.
Yeah.
Like, that was that's very hard to do.
Yeah, over a mile.
Over a mile on a huge board.
On a huge board. Yeah, and he speaks of it so humbly and so beautifully.
Like, I'm just like scrolling. Like,
yeah, I love his poses on the board. He's kind of just like,
yeah.
Sometimes he just posted up on the board like,
yes.
Like, yeah, what else are you going to do? So he would go on his head, do headstands and stuff.
Okay, he's staying busy up there.
Yeah. Just monkeying around, having fun.
Yeah.
Just having fun.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
very iconic.
Very iconic. Surfing is huge for him and becomes huge on the world stage because of him. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that one more iconic moment. Just a little bit about Duke's legacy. He didn't necessarily have a direct... He didn't necessarily directly cause this, but in 2020, surfing officially became an Olympic sport.
Okay.
Which was a huge goal of his in his lifetime. He really advocated for
cool.
surfing on the Olympic stage when he was there and really wanted it to be an Olympic sport. Obviously did not happen in his lifetime. It only happened a few years ago. But I think that was a really exciting moment for a lot of people and probably made people think about him a little bit again. And we can't forget to mention just like the overall impact that he's had on just board sports in general. Like almost all board sports are based off of surfing.
Yeah.
And so if you love snowboarding, sandboarding, skateboarding, anything like that, like it's kind of thanks to the groundwork that the Duke laid
Yeah.
and how he was able to share with
Yeah.
people. And I really think share is the word,
Yeah.
like it was a giving of their culture to the world. And what
Mhm.
a gift. I mean,
Mhm.
surfing is so cool and
So cool. The
people love
Hawaiians
it.
love to slide on stuff. Don't take that out of context. But right, and it's just like, just the land here is so
Yeah.
wild and just like this sport that evolved that's this mixture of like brutality and grace
Yeah.
and also being like really aligned with the elements.
It like
It's
makes me
really
cry.
special.
I'm like
Yeah.
tearing up
Yeah.
thinking about it because it's just like so many people look at the ocean and the waves are huge. They're
Huge.
terrifying. And the
Yeah.
Hawaiians just saw fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it just really speaks to how at one they were with
Yeah.
the natural world around them and
They're home.
yeah,
Yeah.
and oh gosh, thank you for saying that word because actually we have to remember that so land ownership is like a new concept at this time, but guess what? Nobody owns the ocean, honey.
Yeah, that's
So
so
the ocean
true.
was always a huge part of the culture, but in particular becomes such a refuge for Hawaiian people
Yeah,
and cannot be understated. Like you can't own the ocean, bitch.
yeah.
So guess what?
No one
We're going
owns
out
beach.
there. No
Yeah,
one owns beach.
yeah,
Truly, no one owns beach.
yeah. Because I'm sure beach is not a paid position, it is a tipped position. So,
Yes.
unionized beach. Yeah. Um,
So, the astrology.
yeah.
Tell us about it.
Some more things. Well, okay. I'll add a few more things,
Sure.
but this is an issue that's come up and will come up again, right? For especially people from cultures where astrology wasn't really a thing in the
Yep.
way Western is.
Yep.
We don't know their birth time. So there's this process called chart rectification, and this is for people who might be adopted or might not know when they were born,
Mhm.
where essentially what you do is just kind of look at different times of day where they could have been born.
Mhm.
And so this is a hypothesis, but that's where I came up with the fact that he must have been born, where's his chart, at 6 a.m. in the morning. And like, right, because it changes where the planets are on his chart
Right.
and the
Right.
different houses. And when we don't know someone's birth time, we still can look at the kind of interactions between the planets, right? If they're
Yeah.
like what kind of shapes they're making. Are they making a conjunction next to each other, a square 90 degrees?
Yes.
But I just,
So
yeah,
is it really just the houses and a rising sign?
yeah, because
Okay.
rising, right? Because it just shows, we know what the sky, or it just, because every few minutes the sky's changing, right? Think
Yes.
that's where the sun is. At noon, it's here, right?
Yeah.
Right. But when he was born, it was just over the horizon.
Yeah.
um, which puts it in his 12th house, which again makes a lot of sense. Sun in Virgo, right? Like he is of service, um, responsible,
Mhm.
takes care of others around him. But the
Mhm.
12th house is kind of a house of exile, right? So it also shows that a wound around self expression, a lot of
Mhm.
selflessness. I mean, even as a therapist, this is a really interesting. Whenever I see people with that placement, they usually struggle with narcissistic traits or self-denying traits, which are kind of two sides of the same coin, right? Like
Ooh.
just this real disalignment with their ego.
Yeah.
Kind of, it can lead to being kind of performative. Um, and because he is a Virgo rising, his chart is ruled by Mercury, and there's a lot of Mercury here, right? Having those prominent Gemini placements, his North Node in Gemini. So again, a selfhood shaped by service, skill, and meaning making. And sometimes this was on his terms, but also many times it wasn't.
Yeah.
And to that, I look at the Neptune that's like mucking it all up.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, his spiritual path that he's on. I want to quote one of my favorite astrologers, Alice Sparkly Cat. They wrote this book called Post Colonial Astrology.
Was that their last name is Sparkly Cat?
That's their name.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Very creative person.
Yeah.
Um,
Hippie name.
yeah.
I call that a hippie name, but I like
I
it.
don't think they would like that.
Oh, okay.
Because some feel like hippies are essentially colonizers.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, they're like a part of a Chinese diaspora, but
Okay.
do a lot of really powerful writings. And so looking at this nodal axis, right? His North node's in Gemini, his South node's in Sag, and it's like They're saying that someone with this signature, like, really wants to make a podcast, like, have their voice heard. But that social location changes your karma, right?
Yeah.
So it made him more of an object than a subject sometimes, I think.
Yes.
But that's all that Sag placement, right, shows that, like, yeah, where he might have been, I don't want to say foolish, but more like innocent
Yeah.
in these mercurial endeavors, right?
Yeah.
Things that he's learning this lifetime, especially with like US intervention, like forcing that. He's so idealistic and optimistic and like probably had a past life as like a priest or a teacher or someone who's like a proselytizer.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess a final nod to the wound around home, which Gwen and I talked before the show, right? He has his Chiron in the sign of Cancer, which, can mean someone like grew up with insecurity, instability in their home. And his immediate family, they seem really close.
Yeah, I was going to say not the case.
Not the case. However, there's literally this tremendous wound to the homeland.
Yes.
And I think especially just living in Hawaii, seeing how different it is than I grew up in Maryland, right? Like the Ohana is so directed to the Hawaiian identity.
Yeah.
So an overthrow of the kingdom affected everyone's family.
Yeah.
And so much so that like for our generation, like people's grandparents were beaten in school for speaking Hawaiian, right?
Yeah.
Like we can still see the sign of a cultural genocide happening now.
Yeah.
And that's what he was born into. But I think that also made him so good at understanding what makes people feel emotionally safe, like what you said about naps, right? He knew how to make everyone feel like they belonged. And he belonged everywhere.
Despite the like kind of like pillaging that was what happened in Hawaii, he was a very welcoming and open person.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Right, which is like I think people project those kind of harsh borders that are part of the Western imagination onto Hawaiians. And that's not necessarily true. It's just different.
I don't think it comes naturally I'm going to make the argument it does come naturally to all humans.
That's so true.
Yeah.
Right? Again, no one owns the ocean.
Nobody owns land.
No one owns
either.
land.
It's just a concept that we've created to manipulate the situation that we're in. It's not a real. You can't take land with you when you die, so guess what? You don't own it.
You don't own land.
You don't own anything. But that's
you wouldn't need wars.
Crazy.
Yeah, sorry. You would need wars to reinforce these concepts if they were so natural.
Exactly. To justify them. Exactly. It's not our nature.
Yes.
So to fight that, how do we fight that? And he fought it just by living his truth and leading by example.
Yeah.
Right? He didn't let it harden him, and he didn't fight back in this very traditional fight back way when you think that, but he fought back more silently and gracefully and just by being true to himself and being himself out in the world. And I think that goes a long way. I think that we can speak towards like naivete, and at a certain point you do have to fight back, but that's not everyone's nature and that's not everybody's job.
And I think strategically the Hawaiians would have been like they would have dropped a nuke. I don't know. Like the US is insane. Like God forbid. But I mean it's complex, right? Because his image was so manipulated through mass media to kind of make Hawaii into this beautiful nightmarish paradise it is today. And he died. Sounds like he had a heart attack, as you said, but he was sickly. He had stomach ulcers, which is so cancer. Cancers always have tummy issues.
Yeah.
And it just shows, like, again, I think a level of repression.
Yes.
And again, like in Hawaiian, like it's your na'au. That's your center of your truth and wisdom. And in some ways, he really honored that. But in some ways, it was very compromised.
Yeah.
Or who knows what else, like these other dimensions of Duke, the world will never know.
Yeah.
Because of whether it was like actual silencing or his like self-censorship, which Virgos know all about.
You can see it in that episode, and watch that episode if you feel like it. Let us know what you think about it. Like, I just feel his pain in that. It makes my stomach go, oh.
Yes, it's so visceral.
Yeah, I just don't think he wanted to be there. That wasn't obviously where he felt comfortable expressing himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was really comfortable expressing himself in the ocean, for example.
Yes.
So it's
Mars
not
is
that he was
magic.
completely repressed in that way, but when he's being forced into these systems that aren't natural to him, it's almost like a fawn response,
Yeah.
right?
So true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I would probably do the same thing. I'd be like, okay.
Yeah, I would, but then I would pop off. Like, I would go Kanye, like,
Don't
which
say that. No, you wouldn't.
I definitely would. I wonder if Kanye, I feel like he probably has a Chiron in Cancer too, actually.
Oh, we're gonna Google it really quick. That's pretty much everything we had to say about the Duke, though, right? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Chiron and Taurus. Okay. We'll do him when he dies.
when he dies. Our one rule here in astrology is they have to be dead. So let us know what dead person you want us to talk about.
That's true. Yes. Like and subscribe. Drag us. We can use the publicity.
Yeah, go for it. I'll take it. Next, we're gonna talk about
Actually, guitar riff, please. Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Yay!
Yeah.
We're really excited about that one.
Yes.
Getting into some really just cool people.
Some people are so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aquarius is a big part of that too.
Let's go.
Yeah, just like
Finally.
It's been there. Like again, these are people who are like of their generation and then ahead of their times, which is why they're so infamous.
Wow.
So
Makes life hard a little bit though. So
it's true. Yeah, I think it's like ever since Betty White, I realized how much like these famous people's personal lives are so hidden from us.
yeah. These days it's a little bit harder to hide it, but I think especially back in her time, back in his time, like there was still this very big separation. And so how much do we really know about these people?
Yeah.
We can only speculate.
How much can you know anyone?
Truly.
Yeah.
We're all alone.
Yep.
And with that.
Bye. Aloha.